Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Dental Assistant Tutor. I'm Theresa. And if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to hit subscribe and all the notifications because I'm uploading real good information to help you pass your boards, okay? And some of these exams are over $300 and they are passing. Just read the comments below the certain test that you have to study for. Now, this one is for part 4, but actually I should have made it part 1 of the EFTA review because I'm about to give you the outline of what you need to know to become an expanded function dental assistant. And I almost feel like this could be my last video for it because you guys have a textbook that you guys get to keep from your school. Now, some of you guys turn them back in maybe to help out the school or another student. A lot of you guys turn them into your local library, okay? This book right here, or any of the dental assistant textbook, the purple modern dental assistant one, the Pearson's dental assistant textbook. There's about 59, 60 chapters in that textbook, right? Okay. The best part is I got great news for you, especially for you seasoned dental assistants out there that still have your material that you might have saved. There's only about 9 chapters left to become an expanded function dental assistant if you look at it that way. Now, I have this one book right here. It's the manual. Okay, what you need to do and study to become an expanded function dental assistant. In some states, it is not required to go to the school. In some states, don't even have expanded function dental assistant. You have to wait on a waiting list for about a year, and then you have to jump through the loops to be the one that gets picked. And in some offices, you got to do a little bit more. And I don't want my girls or gentlemen who are becoming dental assistants to have to jump through the loops. I want you to know up front what your doctor can do for you and what you can do for your doctor if you bring up a contract, okay, and work so many years. And this has been done by many doctors in the field, okay? So, 9 chapters. You just completed, or you're about to complete, 60 chapters, 62, whatever the case, give or take, right? Your textbook. Your dental instructor, what some of you, have left comments, oh, I fall asleep during that class, yada, yada, yada. What that seasoned dental instructor is giving you is information that's going to provide you a job that you will get a check for every 2 weeks, just about, okay? And with the way I see it, 9 more chapters isn't much more. So I'm going to give you the information, the outline. So if you have time, if not, save this to a playlist. I have a playlist for the EFTA review. I have other playlists. Subscribe to those. Like, share with your fellow classmates. You want to raise one another up. When you do that, you will see a full circle. I promise you this. Now, I'm going to share with you what it is. Okay, so if you got pen and paper, it's just like my CDA review, RHS. It's a little boring. It's some writing, but it's like class on YouTube. And some of you guys might fall asleep during this if you're just watching this channel just to watch it. Okay, so here we go. The first chapter, chapter 1, is the EFTA laws. Common sense. I'm just going to be raw and real. Common sense is you have to know the laws that are required in your state to practice, whether it's RDA, CDA, DDS, RDH, you know it, right? EFTA. Now, Chapter 2, Operating and Assisting Skills. That's funny. Don't we go over that? See where I'm going with this already? Some of you guys are smart cookies. You're already catching on. Okay, so Chapter 2 for EFTA, Expanded Function Dental Assistant. Listen up, people. Operating and Assisting Skills. Clock positioning. How many of you already got A plus on that in class? Clock positioning. Okay. Patient instruments. The instruments that you will use. You need to know your instruments for every setup. You have to know your setups. You have to be ready to go once you're out of that classroom. It might be a crash course, it might be a long program. But either way, you sign up for it and you need to know that tray setup, okay? Because you want to get in there and get hired, okay? Maybe even on your externship. So that is your instruments. Now, there is one that a lot of dental programs don't go over in depth, and that is the rotary instruments. And yes, they go over the handpiece, the slow speed, the nose cone, the RPMs, okay? But what's so important is the burrs. Now, why is it that you need to know the burrs? Because you're going to make the adjustment on the teeth, on the dentures, whatever the case might be, okay, when we go over this. So when the doctor preps the tooth, removes all the decay, and it's really good to use Sable Seek. I work for a dentist that always use Sable Seek, and it squirts out pretty fast. You just need a little bit. It's a green liquid, and you rinse it out, and then you can see if there's any decay left. So that's really good to use, but that's the doctor's part. Once that tooth is totally prepped and clean, you can go in there and fill it. Drill and fill. Drill and fill. How much faster is your day going to be? And you might even use an assistant. Never be shut down to having a coworker help you if you become higher in the office, okay? Teamwork is dream work. Just like sharing is caring. Another great dental instructor has shared with me once before. Now, rotary instruments, the burrs. Know the different diamond burrs, the shapes of them. And if you have flashcards or like to play Pictionary, play along with that, okay? Now, you also need to know, let's see, that was chapter 3, basic tooth terminology. Basic tooth terminology. Do we not go over that as a dental instructor if any are watching? Hello, fellow coworkers, instructors out there, okay? But we go over the terminology. So save those flashcards, okay? And on my website, that's free, that you can save to your cell phone's desktop. If you need to hurry up and look up a word, it's right there underneath the menu, okay? So you need to know the terminology. Teeth numbers. I mean, everybody needs to know the teeth numbers in a dentist office, even the front office people, because when they're working the front, they have to do the insurance billing. So they need to know which tooth was worked on. So make sure you always get the teeth number. Okay, so next will be the anatomy of the tooth. Now, a lot of teachers give out handouts, drawings. I have some examples on my website that you can right click and just print off the screen. Okay, enlarge it if you want to. But I definitely have what you need on there already for the anatomy of the premolar, the molar, the occlusion. You have to understand more about the occlusion because you want to make sure that patient is biting correctly and evenly on both sides of the midline. Okay, then this is what's a little different that you're going to need to know, okay? The next chapter will be chapter 5, isolation. Now, I know dental instructors and dental schools go over isolation because it is our job as a dental assistant to retract that tongue. If that tongue gets loose from underneath that, and it's like rodeo sometimes, you got to really hold that tongue down because the tongue is the strongest muscle in the body basically because once it's formed, some infants are sucking their thumbs inside the womb, okay? So it's one of the strongest muscles from the beginning of our being. So make sure you're holding that tongue back, especially when that high-speed handpiece has a diamond burr on there and they're prepping a crown prep, okay? So hold that tongue back. Now, so you should know about isolation, how to retract, how to place the cotton rolls, because you're going to be working solely by yourself. Once the doctor leaves the room, kind of like an orthodontic assistant, which is one of my favorites, is, the doctor leaves. No offense, doctors, if you're watching, but we like that little break from y'all when you're right there all day long, side by side at the chair. When you leave and we get to do some hands-on work for ourselves, I'm just keeping it real in case any dentists are watching this. Some like to hover. When you hover, that's when your assistant can make more mistakes. but I'm going to stay focused here, okay? I'm back, y'all. So, anyway, amalgam. You're going to need to know about amalgam. Now, a lot of people don't do amalgams anymore, but a lot of insurances, especially, 10 care, what is it? The welfare kind, they're going to use amalgam, okay? And, these patients need to be treated just as equally as a cash patient, okay? Because in the end, they will come around. You might be one that has that type of insurance, okay? I've had that type of insurance, and that helps you during that time. But these are potential customers that will come around who maybe finished dental school and has health insurance and now want to come to you for treatment. Okay, so always treat every patient with respect. But sticking with it, amalgam is still around. Some old school methods still work great. They've added little etch to the prep before they place amalgam. It's more cost effective. So, amalgam, you're going to need to know this. And I know I talk fast, so don't forget you can pause this video at any time and catch up, okay? But here's one, okay? The chemical makeup of amalgam, the mercury, the alloy. You need to know mercury hygiene. How do you take care of that mercury that gets spilled in the office? You know, the effect of moisture on the effects of moisture on amalgam. And one thing you should know that a lot of doctors don't do, and it's understandable because the schedule is pretty busy and the way they make amalgam today, is more modernized, that they may not have to do this anymore. But it is always recommended after you do a restoration that the patient comes in 24 to 72 hours later when it's really set hard, because that's how long it takes for mercury to set up. Not like composite where it's cured, light cured, and then it's good to go. Go ahead and eat on it, especially if you don't get no anesthetic. So make sure that the filling's hard, but they will come in and polish it and check the bite. And that is like a post-op visit. And maybe you can suggest that because that makes the filling last longer. Okay, so you need to know about amalgam and as well as composite. The same thing, the chemical makeup, how to clean up after it. One is the shapes of the dental amalgam particles. You need to understand about the particles. Particles are really a hot topic this year, and I'll get into that later on another video. Properties of amalgam, the brittleness of it, same with composites, cavity varnish, the matrix system, the Toffemeyer. If you are one of those students that struggle in class, please go up to your instructor and ask them, or a fellow classmate, or watch the Toffemeyer matrix video. I did one and you can see it really good and how to place the Toffemeyer around the tooth, the band, and keep that, because that's going to be your job to do. In fact, you can do it even if you're not an EFTA, to get the tooth ready for the doctor to put the filling in. He can always, or she, the dentist, DDS, can check the restoration, or a fellow EFTA can check the Toffemeyer, make sure you got the wooden wedge in place just right, or the matrix system because they have one for composite, and then go ahead and fill. Whatever you can do to save time would really help the practice, okay? Now, let's see here. I went over all that. You're going to need to know your classifications. That is one you're definitely going to need to know because you're the one that's filling in those classifications. Your bases and liners. So far, a lot of you guys are probably screaming on the other side of this camera saying, I can do this test. I know most of this stuff. More than that, I encourage you to do so. Please, and let me know how it goes in each state. Communication is the key. I love the comments and the feedback. Okay? And then the hot and cold, the conduction between the liners, the pressure, the leakage. And last but not least, chapter 9 was glass ionomer, cements. Because you can put the crown in. See, anything permanent you can now do, but the doctor should always check your work. And it's so important to stress this. So important. If you already have your CDA, what is stopping you? I want you to ask yourself this. And you've been in the field for a long time. What is stopping you from checking with your local schools on becoming an expanded function dental assistant, or talking to your dentist about this, or doctors talking to your staff about this. It's okay. We just got out of the pandemic. If you haven't read the book that I wrote, which is on Amazon, as well as What to Study for the RHS, under Theresa Biggs, Amazon, okay? But which will help the channel. And I like to say, I've gotten donations in the past, and I really appreciate those. And anybody who wants to contribute to the channel, I updated my channel page, and it's right there if you want to help a fellow teacher out, or if I've helped you in the past. Anyway, I'm one of those ones that can't collect for myself, but you put me in front of a patient, and if you're a patient watching this, I'm sorry, but I sure can collect for my boss because I know that's my paycheck. So anyway, much love. 9 chapters. I will be getting back on here. Sharing is caring, and I'm sharing with you what you need to do to expand. And I'm telling you, the more you can do, the more you can make. And we are living in a time that cosmetic dentistry, orthodontics, oral surgery, they're all going to start being really busy. So please, please study. Okay.